What do you mean?
How do you know what that
I coined the term. I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Moving on here. Moving on. You're lucky the recording didn't start.
You're the one that just said it.
Whoa! I did not say it. I said coined term.
Yeah, you coined the term. No.
No, I did not say that.
What term did you coin?
Quadimodo. Remember that one? You missed that one yesterday, Serena. That was a good one. Quadimodo. I said, I was at the church yesterday because I was biking so hard. They called me Quadimodo. All right, here we go. Let's go over this primary source. So I know some of the words were hard to read, but with the primary sources, if you have a first-hand account, especially from letters or written articles from way back then, it's going to be a little hard to read. So I think this letter was pretty interesting, especially about the 101st Airborne at Bastogne at the Battle of the Bulge. So what's going on here? Who wrote this here? Troy? Who wrote it? Yeah, good job. So American commander, what was his name? No, it might be hard to pronounce. Just give it a shot. Give it a whirl. You got it, or should I move to Jeffrey? Jeffrey? McCullough? McCullough? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So what kind of primary source is it, Jeffrey?
It's a letter written to his family back home over Christmas time.
All right, good job. Good job. All right, good job. So Anthony McCullough, commander of the 101st Airborne Division, he was writing home to his family back at home, right? He was writing to his family describing Bastogne, okay, and describing the German encirclement of that city, of that during the Battle of the Bulge. What was he saying? What was he describing? What did he say? Forney, what did he say?
He was talking about the cold, how harsh the conditions were there.
Yeah, good job. So he's talking about how cold it was. The conditions were terrible. They were low on supplies. The Germans had them encircled. There was really no, I guess you say, opportunity or optimism there for these guys. But, hey, they're going to continue to fight. Right? They saw this as a way of proving themselves and trying to show their bravery in this battle and in this encirclement. All right, good. So, obviously, since the Germans had encircled, did they have any supplies coming in to support these men? No. So they were there for about a week, 7 days or so, and they were enclosed by the Germans. No supplies coming in and out. It was really cold, and for the most part, the Germans were over the radio broadcast asking for them to surrender, commanding them for to surrender, or they'll be dead. They'll be killed by artillery barrage, an invasion of that town. But this division held Bastogne really by themselves and prevented the Germans from expanding to their main goal. And we talked about how Antwerp was one of those goals in Belgium. Okay. All right. Good. So what did he describe then? What did he say? What else did he say? He described the conditions at Bastogne. What else? What else did he say here? Jeffrey?
He was talking about his loneliness for the war to end so he could go back to his family.
Okay. All right. Good. So, yeah, he was saying, oh, this kind of stinks, right? We're here at Christmas time. We're encircled, no resources. It looks like the very end for his division. But, again, he's going to continue to fight on. He's brave. But what a way to spend Christmas, right? Oh, my gosh, what a way to spend Christmas. So he was, I guess you could say a little upset about that. But at the same time, he had a duty. He had a job to do. Okay, and he had to accomplish this objective, right? Hold off the Germans there at Bastogne. All right, good. What else happened? What else did he say describing this source? Kiara?
How the Germans were I think counteracting.
Okay. All right, good. Good job. Kira?
I think it was just how the weather was in the Germans. Like, just the type of battle it was.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so we talked about how cold and how the Air Force wasn't being able to use, and so really pushed this division to be kind of on their own, so like sitting ducks. Griffin?
Then he said that the battle was going to go down in world history books.
Yeah, good job. So he's describing how impactful and significant this will be. Okay, obviously we're reading about it today. Okay. Well, yesterday you worked on it. What about the German commander? What did he say to him? Do you guys remember? What did the German commander say to him? What did he want the division to do at Bastogne? Troy? Yeah, he wanted to surrender, right? So he's like spilling out to him. He's like, "Hey, just give up. You know, you guys fought hard. You know, you did your job here, but just surrender. Just give up. It'll be a valiant effort. Obviously, you guys will be treated fairly, but just give up. Just surrender." Did they give up? The 101st Airborne give up? No, no. So what was his response back to that German commander? What did he say? What did he say? Serene, do you remember?
Oh, nuts.
Nuts. Nuts. Are you kidding? No, we're not doing that. So he just responded back. He says it right down here. Nuts. Well, I can't believe he said that. So anyway, he says nuts back. He's like, no, we're not doing that. There's no way we're going to surrender. There's no way we're going to give up. And he described how this, hold off of this city was impact to this battle, to the war itself. And he said, you know what? This is a Christmas gift. Although the conditions were terrible, the weather was terrible. What's up, Mr. Miller? Oh, you're fine. Oh, all right. Thanks a lot.
Before we have a book.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks for everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Nice. Did you make this?
My sister-in-law
Wow, this is really good.
had them ordered up. Yeah, they're pretty neat.
Yeah, I'll say.
All you gotta do is just take a bite.
All right, I will.
All right.
I will. Thanks a lot. Yep, thanks a lot. Wow, that's awesome. Look at this. Thank you, Mr. What did you say, Kiara?
I said I wasn't sure how to eat cookie.
I know he's like, it's full hill.
I gotta take a bite.
Maybe. Where do I put this? All right. Yeah. That's awesome. That's cool. That's some artistic ability there. Okay. But anyway, he said this was like a Christmas gift in itself, right? That if they can hold off the Germans here in this valiant effort, this was a Christmas he'll never forget. No one should ever forget. And, his response back to the German commander kind of signifies that. And although, like I said before, the weather conditions were terrible, they're low on supplies, they're surrounded by the Germans, that they're going to continue to fight. And that this was, like I mentioned, one of the best Christmas gifts ever. Unbelievable. I don't know if I would think that was the best Christmas gift ever, but, we all know eventually the Germans would be pushed back in that Battle of the Bulge, their last major offensive. Although they gained a lot of traction at first, it was eventually pushed down. Okay. Is there any questions on that? I thought it was interesting. I thought it was pretty neat. Okay. Especially during Christmas time at the Battle of the Bulge and how this was one of the most impactful battles of the war for the Americans, for sure. In the last major German offensive. Okay. So for today, let me write up the vocab term I forgot. It is I'll just put it up here on the board. Yalta Conference. The Yalta Conference. Just talk about that briefly, and then you guys can have the rest of the time for yourself. So the Yalta Conference. Here we go. So we're stepping closer and closer to the end of the war in Europe. So I'll give you a minute to write that down, and we'll move on and talk about it. I wonder if I should eat this right now.
Probably not.
I should have written directions to it.
How do we eat cookies? Just take a bite.
Joking hazard. Just take a bite. Shoot.
I can't even throw it.
Throw it down.
I don't know how to do it.
Ooh, it is pretty hard though.
If you have, like, special needs.
I should get some milk and try to get this thing in here. It's pretty hard. What should I go for? The pencil or the paper?
Go for the pencil first.
The eraser?
Eat the whole
Yeah, I
pencil.
want to see both batteries.
Oh, geez, Serene. Ain't Bill Gates up here, right? Go on. All right, the eraser. Oh, it's off.
Oh.
You better stop it. You're freaking me out back there. The metal part now. There we go.
How is it?
It's good. It's real good. That's awesome. Oh, it is. Shreen, all right already. It was funny at first, but now it's getting a little weird.
You just said you married a dude.
What? What did you say?
You just said you married
I did not say that. I said I'd hit him up.
Yeah.
Clear difference.
What are you gonna do with him? Get his money?
I'll just say, hey, do you mind sending me some cash? I know you're going through some hard times.
I don't know you.
No, there's a price to pay.
Hey, give me money, period.
Little side hustle.
I'll talk to you if you want, but preferably I would like cash.
Probably. I think it's sugar baby.
I'll be a shoulder to cry on if you want.
He's really down about Melinda. Melissa? Melinda?
I don't even know her name. Yeah, it doesn't matter. She's out of your life now.
You're working your way in?
Oh, whoa, whoa. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Moving on here. What do we have for the Yalta Conference? What do we got? Troy? Yeah, good job. Good job. So this happened in February 1945, pretty much right after the Battle of the Bulge. And this was a meeting between the big three. So we have Churchill, Great Britain. We have Roosevelt, United States, and Stalin of the Soviet Union. And like I said, this is the second meeting between the big three. What was the first one? You guys remember? What was that first meeting? Troy? Tehran Conference in 1943. And that set up what? What did that set up? What was like the main thing it really did? Jeffrey?
D-Day invasion.
Yeah, all right, the D-Day invasion. Good job. So now coming closer to the end of the war, in February, they believe the Germans will surrender soon. And, in May, they would. Okay, in May, they would. And as you can see, FDR is coming to the end of his life here. So in April, he would die. Okay, and this is in February, so just like 2 months later, he would pass away after this meeting. And it just kind of shows, really his time as president through these long years through the Great Depression, through World War II, and how it was really draining him, literally. And with that being said, the big three got together. They talked about post-war Germany and how Europe would look after the war. And this is where they're going to divide up the decision of dividing up Germany into 4 different sections. So on the western side, the United States, Great Britain, and France will split up and share their own idea of how that government should look, the economy, you name it. And then on the eastern side, who would get that? Forney? Who would receive the eastern side? So on the western side, United States, France, and Great Britain, who's getting the eastern side? This guy over here. Who is it? What's his name?
Oh, Stalin.
Stalin and the Soviet Union, right? Yeah, good job. And Stalin, one of his main goals with this conference was to make sure that they wouldn't get invaded again, the Soviet Union. Okay, so pretty much throughout their whole history, they've been getting invaded pretty easily. And one of the main reasons is because it's just a huge area, obviously. There's really no mountain ranges preventing any type of incoming force or European force from taking over those areas, those large areas. So the Soviet Union wanted to try to create a buffer zone in Eastern Europe to prevent from another invasion. So in the 1800s, we know Napoleon invaded. World War I, Germany invaded. World War II, Germany invaded, right? So Stalin, he wanted to try to protect his people. He wanted to try to establish in this conference that these Eastern European countries will be like a buffer state, okay, like a buffer zone for protection against the Soviet Union. Obviously, what came next is the spread of communism to Eastern Europe, right? And with this conference, like I said, it's establishing post-war Europe, what Germany will look like post-war. And we all know Berlin, the capital of Germany, is located where? Eastern or Western Germany? Jeffrey?
Eastern.
Eastern, controlled by the Soviets, right? So with that being said, the Allied powers, United States, Great Britain, and France wanted to make sure they could split up Berlin as well, because that's where a lot of these ideologies emerge and if Berlin falls, let's say, total communism, then maybe the rest of the country would, and maybe the rest of Europe. So this is already building up to the Cold War, right? And we already see some tensions between the democratic nations here, obviously Great Britain, United States, and the Soviet Union being communistic. All right, so with that being said, Roosevelt, towards the end of this meeting, kind of saw the writing on the wall with Stalin and his intentions. He wanted to make sure that he could control Eastern Europe. Communism would be, obviously, the form of government there, and there would be no democracy, no free elections, no capitalism. Okay, so that obviously eliminates any trading partners with the United States. That eliminates any type of growth or expansion, okay, and rebuilding after World War II. So that's one of the biggest things that Roosevelt saw towards the end of World War II and really the end of his life. Okay, already there's already an enemy, an opposition from an ally with the Soviet Union. Okay. One thing that Roosevelt wanted from this was what? What do you think? What was he trying to get from Stalin? Troy? Yeah, helping the Pacific, right? Because that war's still going on. So at this time, in February 1945, the war in Europe's still going as well, but that's coming to a close here soon as the Soviet Union's closing in on Germany and the Allied powers are from the West. So Stalin, he wanted to make sure that, Roosevelt wanted to make sure that he had a little bit of help from Stalin and the Soviet Union in the Pacific theater. This will later lead to another decision being made. And with this threat and fear spread of communism all throughout the world, this will push Truman to utilize the atomic weapon to end the war early, before communism could spread anymore in Asia. All right, is there any questions on the Yalta Conference? So again, this happened right before World War II even ended in Europe and in the Pacific. So February 1945, the war in Europe will end in May, okay, and the war in the Pacific will end in August 1945. So this is before the war was even over. But this will be the last major meeting for Roosevelt, as like I said, he's about to pass away at this moment, this time. You can tell, oh man, he looks pretty run down here, doesn't he?
Like about the dog.
Yep. 2 months later, he'll pass away. All right, is there any questions on that, guys? You good? That's all I really have. The rest of the time's yours.